You're listening to Equality Radio.
Equality Radio.
Fabulous.
Now, here's your host, Randol White.
Randol White on Q Talk America.
Taking your calls, 424-272-6365. That's 4242 Randol with an O-L. Randol, not Randol. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Hey, great. Happy Thursday to you. You know, my stomach this morning when I got up was in knots. Here on the West Coast at 7 a.m. is when we found out whether the U.S. Supreme Court was going to issue their rulings on DOMA and Prop 8. So I went to the pool, as I typically do. I went a little earlier, so just in case today was the day, I'd have plenty of time because we have an expanded show, as we've been letting you know. And so when I got out of the pool and, you know, walked right over to my phone and started checking Twitter feeds and that sort of thing, I realized, nope, not today. So the next two possible days are Monday or Thursday. Now, an article in Queerty, which is put together by Lisa Keene from the Keene News Service, she says, although the Chief Justice has not announced the last day of the session, it is most likely Thursday, June 27th. There is a possibility it can go another week, but unlikely. There are major decisions ready to be announced. They're not just DOMA and Prop 8. There are a couple of other big ones as well, including the Voting Rights Act. And so what this article basically says is, let's see if I can find the right spot here. Historically, the Supreme Court releases opinions in its most debated cases on the last day of the session. We know that to be true from many others. In this session, however, the court still has opinions pending in two other highly contentious cases, one concerning the Voting Rights Act, as I mentioned, and the other concerning affirmative action. There's a good chance, all right, once again, this is from an article in Queerty today by Lisa Keene, saying there's a good chance the court will issue its marriage decisions Monday and issue the other two on Thursday. So that's what we have before us right now, Monday. So we have one last weekend here in the United States that we don't know the outcome. And then on Monday, if that is indeed the case, we'll know early on, 10 o'clock on the West Coast, 7 a.m. here in the Pacific time zone. And then stay tuned because this show will expand from 1 hour to at least 4 hours, noon to 4 Pacific time. We have so many great guests lined up to give us legal analysis, to share their opinions, even to give us an international perspective, because the world is watching in many cases to find out what is going to happen. And I just got an email right before showtime. Let me double check this here. So it looks like somebody from Freedom to Marry, Angela Delara, will be joining us. She's the most recent to sign on for the show. So good news there as well. All right, everyone. Great to have you with us. It is Thursday. What time is it? 3:09 Pacific, 6:09 Eastern on this 20th day of June, 2013. I am your host, Randol White, coming to you live each and every weekday here on Q Talk America, our partners in this whole online radio thing. Up next on the show, just after the commercial break, we will be speaking with New York jewelry designer RONY TENNENBAUM. He decided in late 2008, right around the time the Prop 8 decision came down. I don't know if that had anything to do with his thinking on switching, but he had a long career of designing jewelry, actually just about every aspect of the jewelry business. And it was in late 2008 he decided to create wedding rings and jewelry for the LGBT community. And at the same time, he came up with earth-friendly designs. And he has an overall mission that we will speak to him about. One of his collections is the Love Collection, but love is spelled LVOE. But when you first look at it, your brain just reads it as love. And so he they put it in quotes, love is love no matter how you spell it. Because the first time I looked at it, I thought, wait a minute, that's misspelled. I thought, why did they misspell it? But then when you look into it a little further, love is love no matter how you spell it. That means no matter, well, I don't have to tell you what it means. You can figure that out on your own. And so anyway, I love the collection. We'll be showing you some of the rings if you're watching the video simulcast version of this. And Ronnie will be joining us from his home in the country, I understand. So, and then at the bottom of the hour, we are joined by Josh Stein of Stein Family Wines. So Josh and the crew there have come up with an incredibly clever name for this. Same-sex MERITAGE. So MERITAGE is a blend of wines. And then they tacked on same-sex, and it sounds like same-sex marriage, of course. And they make the message very clear right there on the label with the 2 men holding hands, 2 women holding hands, and then the same sex, of course, gives it away. But the winery says the United States citizens should have 2 irrevocable freedoms: to marry the person they love and to purchase an awesome wine at a reasonable price. Well, I couldn't agree with Josh more. And so if you've ever listened to a Sunday radio show that I do called Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, it airs on a couple of stations on the West Coast, and then you can get it online just like Equality Radio. Just go to eatdrinkexplore.com. We do a lot of wine chat. And so we're having Josh on Equality Radio today, but then on Sunday, we'll be talking to our California-based audience, which, of course, California is wine country, and that's where their winery is located. The very cool thing about this wine, though, is that for every 1 bottle that's sold, Stein Family Wines donates $1 to Freedom to Marry, one of the groups I just mentioned that will be joining us for our Supreme Court coverage. So very cool. Josh will join us at the bottom of the hour to talk about the brand's inception, how it has been received by fellow winemakers, customers, and retailers. I'm curious about the retailers, what they think about that. I imagine there are some in more progressive areas of San Francisco, New York, and such, where they jumped right on that and realizing that a lot of money could be made. So, all right, Pride calendar-wise, we are in the heat of Pride Month starting today in New Orleans. Gay Pride New Orleans kicks off. It is today through the 24th. Tomorrow, Columbus, Ohio for Columbus Pride. Barcelona, Spain, tomorrow as well. And it goes more than a week through the end of the month, as does Oslo, Iceland's, Houston, Texas, and Toronto's. And then starting on Saturday only, Berlin, Germany, Palermo, Italy, Salisbury, South Carolina, Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Tijuana, Mexico. Olympia, Washington, San Francisco, and Helsinki also kicking off this weekend. Stick around, everyone. You're listening to Equality Radio.
Equality Radio.
Join the conversation. Give us a call. 424-272-6365.
Equality Radio.
Just after the break, we are talking equality jewelry designed just for same-sex couples. We're back in just a moment. Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org. Are you as excited, maybe even nervous as we are about the upcoming decisions that will be handed down by the Supreme Court of the United States later this month? Hello, I'm Randall White, host of Equality Radio here on Q Talk America. In anticipation of what will surely be a historic day, the staff here at Equality Radio is hard at work, putting together expert guests, background information, and legal analysis for a solid day of live coverage. We are greatly expanding our show that day to fit the occasion. We want to be sure you have a forum to express your thoughts as history unfolds around us. There may be no greater moment in LGBT history than what's about to happen. And Equality Radio on Q Talk America will be here so we can all share it together. Tell your friends, family, and LGBT allies Q Talk America is the place to be when SCOTUS makes its decision known. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Randall White Radio Hour on Q Talk America. We're now in a local station commercial break, and we'll return to our conversation in just a moment. This break does give us an opportunity, however, to screen your calls as well, so give us a ring right now to share your thoughts on the topic at hand. Our number, 4242 Randall. But make sure you spell Randall correctly. My name is spelled R-A-N-D-O-L. Or, here it is in strictly number form, area code 424-272-6365. That's 424-272-6365. This message will repeat just in case you didn't have time to jot it down. You're listening to the Randall White Radio Hour only on Q Talk America. We're now in a local station commercial break, and we'll return to our conversation in just a moment. This break gives us an opportunity, however, to screen your calls as well. So pick up the phone and give us a ring right now. Share your thoughts on the topic at hand. Our number is 4242 Randall. That's 4242 Randall, and make sure you spell Randall with an O-L at the end, 1-O, 1-L. Or here it is in strictly number form, area code 424-272-6365, 424-272-6365. This message will not repeat because the local commercial break is now over. Time once again to return to the show. Thank you for your patience.
You're listening to
Randall White on Q Talk America. Equality Radio.
19 minutes now past the hour. Great to have you joining us on this Thursday. No, wait. What is today? Thursday. What am I thinking? Yes, it's Thirsty Thursday. That's why we're featuring a wine at the bottom of the hour, and I swear I haven't had any yet. Just had a brain fart, I guess they call it. Great to have you with us, everyone. I am Randall White, and it is time to talk jewelry, specifically wedding rings. This is mine right now if you're watching online. And Ronny Tenenbaum joins us. He, back in 2008, decided to take his career knowledge and put it in one direction, and we're glad he did. Welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, Randall. Thanks for having me.
Do I understand you're at your house in the country?
I am.
I love the sound of that.
Yes, the birds are chirping in the background, and I had the mowers all shut down so that I can hear the radio.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. We appreciate that for sure. I've definitely done interviews throughout my career where that's not the case. There's all sorts of stuff going on. So tell us about what happened in late 2008. That would be about the time that Prop 8 passed here in California. I don't know if that played into your decision-making at all.
Yes, that actually, it wasn't a factor at the time, but what really was, what had sparked it all was, I had been actually in jewelry for over 25 years, and I'd always been working behind the scenes for other companies. In about 2008, I kind of decided, I have all this knowledge, and I really want to build a line of my own, and what I really wanted to do was make a line that really spoke to my heart, that was really close to me and my community and my peers. And no one else was really approaching that. No one else had anything like it out there. In fact, at that time, if you Googled gay and wedding and jewelry, you'd really get all these rainbows and triangles and god-awful, gaudy jewelry.
I remember, yeah. I got married November 1st, 2008, and we looked for, I wanted to buy exactly what you're making. I wanted to keep my money within the community. I wanted it to have a message, yet I wanted it to be beautiful, and so that's basically the direction you went.
And that's exactly what I did. I found that, majority of designs that even were out there for the gay community really looked like they were what a straight man thinks a gay man wants to wear,
yeah.
or to that effect.
Right.
And I really wanted to make classy jewelry. No one was catering to a niche market. There are engagement rings, there are bands out there, but no one really thought that, your dynamics has changed. You're actually now talking about two people of the same sex walking into a store and actually looking for rings. So, women don't necessarily want engagement rings like those Tiffany heads that stick out. And the men, there are very few engagement rings really made out there today for men. And that's kind of where I felt that there's a niche that I really need to fill in order to accommodate that.
Ronnie, another issue for me at the time was, I didn't want a ring that had a blood diamond in it. I didn't want it made overseas and then brought into the United States here. And as I was going through your website, which we should say is RONYTENNENBAUM.com, on the right now I have it as .org. If people are watching online, I got to change that. But it is RONY and then TENNENBAUM. But as I looked through your website, that was a concern of yours as well.
Yes, very much so. A couple of things. Over the years that I'd worked in the industry, I've actually had a lot of friends and companies that I worked with in New York, I'm out of New York, closed down because a lot of work had gone overseas. And over the years, we've seen that a lot in jewelry. And what I really wanted to promise myself when I started this was that I really want to bring jobs back. I really want to make jewelry in the U.S. Beyond that, to be more responsible, environmentally responsible, I choose also to use 100% recycled gold, which is something very unique because the gold that I purchase, the gold that I use in the jewelry is not mined anywhere. There's no added toxins to the environment. So I'm actually empowering whoever purchases my rings to actually be environmentally conscious and aware. The gold is one of those elements that can be recycled, and people don't think about that. So there's plenty of gold out there that can be used in jewelry. So that's another factor. Regarding the blood diamond, people aren't really aware. I know that there was a movie out about blood diamonds and brought awareness. They really aren't aware that there's really, really tiny percentage of diamonds that are ever even used as blood diamonds or were used as blood diamonds. And today, there are so many restrictions on companies that buy diamonds. You literally know from beginning to end where a diamond is coming from, that it's mined under the particular convention rules and regulations, so that there are very, very few blood diamonds that come around. And I do find that people do still ask me about that, but I think that is less of a concern today. Most diamonds also come with certifications, and certifications definitely authenticate that diamonds are not used in any sort of trade like that.
That's so good to hear. I'm really happy to hear that because we will probably update our wedding rings if now there's a big if the Supreme Court rules the way a lot of us believe it will. Making
and that's
marriage
very exciting.
Isn't it? Making marriage equality here in California a thing again. Ricardo, my husband, and I decided we didn't want to renew our vows until everyone could here in the state, and so we may renew our vows. And the ring he currently has doesn't really work, so we'll get one with diamonds, and I won't be so concerned this time. Now,
well,
oh, go ahead.
One of the things that I should point out, Randall, that I've found also over the years is that LGBT community has been so empowered with finding the equality laws for marriage that we sometimes also skip that whole process of the engagement.
Yeah.
So for your case, with Ricardo, is that, you can consider it an extended engagement.
Yeah.
And then, you can definitely get married later on. But I do encourage people also, that's part of my whole message, is that whole engagement process is definitely something that is within our reach, and we should be doing it.
Yeah, because we rushed it. We did it. We were lucky that there was a minister right around the corner from us with a United Church of Christ that was willing to drop everything and marry us last minute, because he knew he saw the polls. We all saw the polls. Originally we thought we would just have the way Massachusetts did. It was just going to continue forever. But no, the voters got duped by a lot of money that came in from out of state. That's a whole different topic. But
you'll get it back.
Yes. So let's talk about one of your other lines, the love line, which has a unique spelling. Explain that.
LVOE, yeah, my LVOE collection, which I'm very, very proud and excited of. It's my one trademark joy and really close to my heart. LVOE is about the message that love is love no matter how you spell it, and that's why I write LVOE. And it's really funny. I do get a lot of people calling in and looking for the love rings, even though it is misspelled. And my feeling is that, it's the same as any couple. Love is love no matter who the two people are. And it's been a very good, very successful, and very sentimental piece for me. So a lot of people do enjoy that. In fact, I also spell it in other languages. So again, the message that love is love no matter how you spell it is really nice, that you can get the rings in Hebrew letters, you can get the ring in Spanish letters, Greek letters, all sorts of different languages. And again, that just conveys that love is love no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter who the two people are.
I saw a YouTube video that showed the rings. It was produced by you, I believe, and it showed the rings in all the different languages and such. I really like that line, because love is love no matter how you spell it, and that can include to men, to women.
Exactly.
Sends a terrific message. I imagine with states falling left and right, business must be pretty good right about now.
I always say, yes, the business is very good. I always say that just because you have the law doesn't necessarily mean that you have to run immediately to get married. I do believe, and I do think that people, as long as you have the right to marry, you definitely need to be in the right condition, in the right circumstances, have the right partner, and marriage will follow. But yes, business is doing good. Well,
we're happy to hear it here at Equality Radio. RONY Tenenbaum, it is RONY, Tenenbaum.com. Go online and check out the rings if you're looking for one currently. RONY, thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy your weekend in the country.
Great. Thanks for having me. Take care, man.
All right, stick around, everyone. When we come back, we are talking same-sex MERITAGE wine. That should be fun, with Josh Stein of Stein Family Wines. You're listening to Equality Radio. I'm host Randol White. Back in a moment. Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission: to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org. Santa Rosa there, and so I'd have to make the trip over to Napa and get them tightened, and then he'd yell at me for eating corn nuts. Are you as excited, maybe even nervous as we are about the upcoming decisions that will be handed down by the Supreme Court of the United States later this month? Hello, I'm Randol White, host of Equality Radio here on Q Talk America. In anticipation of what will surely be a historic day, the staff here at Equality Radio is hard at work, putting together expert guests, background information, and legal analysis for a solid day of live coverage. We are greatly expanding our our show that day to fit the occasion. We want to be sure you have a forum to express your thoughts as history unfolds around us. There may be no greater moment in LGBT history than what's about to happen. And Equality Radio on Q Talk America will be here so we can all share it together. Tell your friends, family, and LGBT allies Q Talk America is the place to be when SCOTUS makes its decision known. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Randol White Radio Hour on Q Talk America. We're now in a local station commercial break, and we'll return to our conversation in just a moment. This break does give us an opportunity, however, to screen your calls as well, so give us a ring right now to share your thoughts on the topic at hand. Our number, 4242 Randol. But make sure you spell Randol correctly. My name is spelled R-A-N-D-O-L. Or, here it is in strictly number form, area code 424-272-6365. That's 424-272-6365. This message will repeat just in case you didn't have time to jot it down. You're listening to the Randol White Radio Hour only on Q Talk America. We're now in a local station commercial break and we'll return to our conversation in just a moment. This break gives us an opportunity, however, to screen your calls as well. So pick up the phone and give us a ring right now. Share your thoughts on the topic at hand. Our number is 4242 Randol. That's 4242 Randol, and make sure you spell Randol with an O-L at the end, 1-O, 1-L. Or here it is in strictly number form, area code 424-272-6365, 424-272-6365. This message will not repeat because the local commercial break is now over. Time once again to return to the show. Thank you for your patience.
You're listening to Equality Radio.
Equality Radio.
Fabulous.
Now, here's your host, Randol White.
Randol White on Q Talk America.
33 minutes past the hour. Great to have you with us, everyone, here on this Thursday. Thirsty Thursday is the segment. This is where we introduce you to maybe some beverages you are unaware of, some places to consume, or just, I don't know, health drinks, you name it. But today it's all about wine. And we are headed to one of my favorite places on earth, the beautiful Napa Valley. And joining us on the line is Josh Stein from Stein Family Wines to talk a little bit about their same-sex MERITAGE. Love the name. Hey, Josh, welcome to the program. Oh, you know what? I got to pot you up here. Let's see, right there. Okay, Josh, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Great to be here. How's that better?
That's a lot better. I do it like once per show. So
no problem. Better at the beginning.
It's multitasking is what it's all about. So let's start at the beginning. Where did the idea come from to do a same-sex MERITAGE?
Sure. So actually, a step back beyond that, we've been doing what we call the kind of cause wine sector for about 5.5 years now. And we've started to work with various nonprofits to help them produce revenue streams. And so actually it was my partner in Chicago who came up with the idea of same-sex MERITAGE. And he approached me, having sort of struck out with a number of other wineries, to make this idea a reality. And what really makes it different isn't just the catchy name or the fact that it's a good wine, which it is, thank you very much, but it's the tie into freedom to marry and the fact that they're getting a donation from every sale. And that really is sort of the heart of what the cause wine sector is for us. It's a way of giving progressive nonprofits a revenue stream beyond donations that allows them to have items for their own use at their own events, but also that helps them to propagate the message at the same time. So what we always say to people is it's not about sort of not enjoying wine, but to enjoy the wines that support the community, and we're proud to be one of those.
I see that you've done some work with Cellar Angels on my weekend Eat, Drink, Explore show. We've had the Cellar Angels on before to talk about how they pair up with companies just like yours.
Right, and actually that's the connection that can sort of put all this together. It was through Cellar Angels that my partner and I found each other to put this project together. And so I would say it kind of points back to this idea that by trying to do good things, by trying to use commerce for the power of good, it does produce more good things, because this wine didn't exist a year ago, but it certainly does now.
Yeah, and it's a 2010 blend. What does MERITAGE or MERITAGE mean anyway? It's like 5...
Everybody always has that question, how to pronounce it, what does it mean? First of all, MERITAGE just rhymes with heritage. That's the easiest way to remember it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's a made-up word. It's not something that actually existed until about 25 years ago. Some of your listeners are probably aware there are rules that sort of say what proper names can be put on wine labels and what cannot be put on. Mm-hmm. And so geographical locations, for example, particularly in another country, end up being a no-no. So calling something a Bordeaux blend, which is the traditional name for blending Cab and Merlot, Cab Franc, those sort of grapes, that's not allowed on the label. So they came up with this Meritage Association, and they came up with this idea of the Meritage wine, sort of the best of through blending.
That is really interesting to me. I can't believe I'm just learning that. I can't tell you the number of wine stories and such that I've done. That is new information to me, and I love it. That's a good, impress your friends knowledge.
Americans are funny people. When we sort of came of age with wine, we were sort of trained to believe that the variety on the label is the mark of quality. And, of course, in Europe, the people that we were trying to model ourselves on, there it's just by location, and it can be each location has a series of rules for what grapes are allowed, but almost always it's a blend. And the whole idea there is, as a winemaker, imagine me as a chef. Would you only want me to have one spice, or would you want me to be able to blend things together to make it better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love blends. Now, you said a location. That has to do with the terroir, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which is the flavors you get from the earth and the weather and all that sort of thing.
Well, I think an easy way to say it is just everything that we do as the actors on the grape. So if we choose to pick, if we choose not to pick, that has an impact. Okay. If we pick at a certain sugar level called bricks, that has an impact. If we choose to use different sorts of vessels to make the fermentation happen, that has an impact. So literally, I say to people, think about what a chef does, and my ingredients aren't the same ingredients, but it's the same kind of process.
And so what were the ingredients for this? Which types of grapes go into this blend?
This has the traditional Bordeaux grapes. So for those that are looking for and are supporters of things like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Malbec, that's what's in there with a little bit of Petit Verdot. But one of the things that we made, especially for this wine is designed for holidays and special occasions, for commitment ceremonies and marriages, right? Mm-hmm. And so there you're talking about food and wine going together. And so what we tried to do is to put together a blend with very soft and more like a Pinot Noir than a traditional Cabernet would be. Mm-hmm. So it's really soft and plush, but at the same time it has bright fruit. But not with that kind of aggressive bite that many people who say they don't like red wines, that's sort of what they're not liking.
Right.
And we try to make sure, as we do with all of our products, it's not about what I like as a winemaker. It's what the consumer wants in a product.
And it's easier to do that when you're blending, right?
Oh, absolutely, of course. Uh-huh. And I think you'd find even the majority of wines that are labeled with a varietal on the label, there's still blending that's gone on behind the scenes there. It may be different lots of that same varietal. It may be a mixture of different kinds of, as I say, fermentation vessels or a mountain oak, so that it's really the synergy that you create as a winemaker on the back end, the stuff that's not seen before it ever ends up in the bottle, but after the actual picking and fermentation have taken place, that's really, if there's a sort of creative/science part of it, that's really where it's taking place.
I love the quote that you have. Well, I quoted it for our website, but what you have written on the I should mention you have two different websites you can go to get to this wine, steinfamilywines.com or samesexmeritage.com.
Exactly. And they'll dovetail together, and that's because the brand itself has its own identity out in the world.
I see. Okay. Right. Of course. And so I can't remember which one of those websites I read this on, but it says United States citizens should have 2 irrevocable freedoms: to marry the person they love and to purchase an awesome wine at a reasonable price.
That's great.
I like that. I don't know who your marketing person is, but they're brilliant.
This is all about the power of the First Amendment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And love is for everybody, and alcohol helps.
Right?
I've been married for a long time. I can tell you alcohol makes a difference.
My husband would agree with that as well. So
it's the thing that always drives me absolutely insane about this entire debate. You're trying to keep people who want to try to tough it out from being able to tough it out.
Right.
Pass the bourbon, pass the wine.
So the Freedom to Marry people must be thrilled about this.
Yes, I think they, as with a number of other nonprofits that we've worked with in the past, this really works because what we're saying to people is your buying does make a difference, and it helps to propagate the message at the same time because it gets bought as gifts. People buy it for their marriage ceremonies, for their commitment ceremonies, for the parties they have, and it really is. We have no money for marketing, right? We're a small little winery that could in Napa, and yet we have seen a tremendous response, and we've achieved that response just through the power of good, of that idea of kind of paying it forward in people sharing the message and saying that there is an alternative to sort of randomly buying whatever you see, that there are options where you can have great wines and also support causes that are in need of that support.
I just love that whole idea. Where are you located in the Napa Valley?
My office is in Napa City, and that's where I do. I work with clients up here, so I do a lot of work up here. And then the winery itself is actually on Treasure Island in the San Francisco Bay.
Oh, you're kidding. I had heard that because originally that was a naval base, right?
It was. It's been mostly decommissioned and civilianized to different degrees. For us, we rehabbed the old meat locker, and for a wine cellar, that's about as good as it gets. And there are now probably 8 or 10 other wineries. We're part of a collective. There are several other collectives. What's happened basically is we've priced out of the North Bay. You have to, in Napa, for example, you have to own a sizable amount of land to be able to open a tasting room.
Oh, okay.
So by relocating sort of closer to the city, that makes everything more affordable. And I also say it also kind of returns us to the history of winemaking. Way back in the day, before the San Francisco fire, the vineyards were still in Napa and Sonoma, but the wineries were actually in San Francisco.
Interesting.
So it sort of brings things full circle.
Yeah.
Kind of rehabbing a space that doesn't have a use otherwise, demilitarizing a space and turning into something that gives good times to people. It really is a lovely way to see the bay in particular. Yeah. There's a lot of views of the Embarcadero and of Alcatraz and of the bridge it's just simply not possible for any place else because you're actually physically in the middle of the bay.
Yeah, the views are stunning. And we could probably spend a whole segment talking about the Bay Bridge bolt issue.
That's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing. But Josh, if you don't mind hanging on the line during the commercial break, when we come back, I want to ask what sort of reception you've gotten from retailers and fellow winemakers and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Wait.
Equality Radio.
Join the conversation. Give us a call. 424-272-6365.
Equality Radio.
We are speaking with Josh Stein of Stein Family Wines. Same-Sex MERITAGE is their blend that they have just for us, folks. You're listening to Equality Radio, and we are back in just a moment. Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org. Are you as excited, maybe even nervous as we are about the upcoming decisions that will be handed down by the Supreme Court of the United States later this month? Hello, I'm Randol White, host of Equality Radio here on Q Talk America. In anticipation of what will surely be a historic day, the staff here at Equality Radio is hard at work, putting together expert guests, background information, and legal analysis for a solid day of live coverage. We are greatly expanding our show that day to fit the occasion. We want to be sure you have a forum to express your thoughts as history unfolds around us. There may be no greater moment in LGBT history than what's about to happen. And Equality Radio on Q Talk America will be here so we can all share it together. Tell your friends, family, and LGBT allies Q Talk America is the place to be when SCOTUS makes its decision known. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Randol White Radio Hour on Q Talk America. We're now in a local station commercial break, and we'll return to our conversation in just a moment. This break does give us an opportunity, however, to screen your calls as well, so give us a ring right now to share your thoughts on the topic at hand. Our number, 4242 Randol. But make sure you spell Randol correctly. My name is spelled R-A-N-D-O-L. Or, here it is in strictly number form, area code 424-272-6365. That's 424-272-6365. This message will repeat just in case you didn't have time to jot it down. You're listening to the Randol White Radio Hour only on Q Talk America. We're now in a local station commercial break, and we'll return to our conversation in just a moment. This break gives us an opportunity, however, to screen your calls as well. So pick up the phone and give us a ring right now. Share your thoughts on the topic at hand. Our number is 4242 Randol. That's 4242 Randol, and make sure you spell Randol with an O-L at the end, 1-O, 1-L. Or here it is in strictly number form, area code 424-272-6365, 424-272-6365. This message will not repeat because the local commercial break is now over. Time once again to return to the show. Thank you for your patience.
You're listening to
Randol White on Q Talk America. Equality Radio.
49 minutes past the hour, and a very happy Thursday to you. Thirsty Thursday, we should say. On the line with us right now is Josh Stein of Stein Family Wines. They have their same-sex MERITAGE blend that is out and raises money for a very good cause. Josh, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Great to be here again.
So I found you on through a news article that I'd read that listed, 3 or 4 different winemakers that have jumped on this same theory of providing really basically something that hadn't been provided before, which is something specifically for same-sex couples with all of this expansion with marriage rights. So who first put the thought in your head to go with this particular label?
Actually, the idea for this came to my partner after a night of drinking, as such might be the case.
Right.
He was in the wine trade in Chicago and was they had been drinking and talking, as you often do. And I think that was exactly kind of what spurred on the idea was, well, there's nothing out there that is able to show support and make a political statement at the same time. Why not give this a shot? Mm-hmm. And I would say that perhaps this speaks to the difference in times, but when he first came up with the idea several years ago, it took him a while before he ended up with me, and I said to him immediately, this is no problem, we can make this happen.
Yeah.
And we did.
That's terrific. Thank you. I want to thank you for doing it. And what sort of response have you gotten so far from, first off, customers?
Well, I think exactly as you just said, and that's been I've been in wine now for more than a decade, actually it's 12 years at this point. Mm-hmm. And you're used to a certain level of gratitude from people because you make something that makes the world better by the nature of producing alcohol. But and as as having been a philanthropically based company from the beginning, a certain degree of people thanking us because we do believe in supporting the community. But I've never experienced just the absolute degree over and over again of people just as soon as they hear the idea. And I think it's understanding, right? This isn't about a gimmick. This isn't about making a quick buck. Just the level of gratitude and of the support and knowing that there's an ally at the commercial level producing something. And I have to say, I'm not one of those people who's looking to make a tremendous success and end up as this rich person, but the idea of seeing these wines on store shelves in certain parts of the country puts a big grin on my face.
I bet. Yeah. And where I imagine they're in the Bay Area, it must be being sold. And then where else beyond there?
Yes, we're in the process of expanding. As I said, we're a small winery, so primarily currently Chicago, California, Washington State, and we have a few other places that we're starting to work with. I would say basically retailers reach out to us. They hear about us, and then what we do is to try to make sure they can get the product as they need.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm.
Small wineries and the three-tier system and the way in which distribution works, it really isn't geared towards small players like we are, regardless of how worthy and how good the product might be.
Right. Yeah.
It's all about size and the leverage with which you can do things, and that plays into the speed with which you can kind of scale up the product.
Because what has happened over the last, you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is how I see it, over the last several decades, since Napa really became this spot on the map, we all saw the movie Bottle Shock. Post-Bottle Shock, small winery after small winery was purchased by larger conglomerates, and now there's just a few of them out there, right, that own the vast majority of wineries in Northern California?
Well, there's... I would say it depends on the price point you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Anything that I think you or I would consider to be daily drinking wine, right? Wine that's in that sort of sweet spot of $20 or less. The necessity, the size required to produce wines of a consistent basis and produce hundreds of thousands of cases, there's no small winery that can do that. It's not possible. At very high price points, there you're paying like you would for anything that's artisanal and bespoke. You're paying for the individual involvement of those people and the specific grapes from that special place and the way in which it's being handled. So there are a number of wineries that make a go at it in that way, but probably the best way to show it is this. Years ago, there were less than 1,000 wineries in the United States, and there were more than 3,000 different distributors around the country. Today, there are more than 10,000 wineries in the United States and less than 500 distributors anywhere in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So the power is all on the distribution channel as a result of the regulations that are in place coming from Prohibition, right? We have a system that was broken on purpose so that different pieces couldn't link up in an easy way. And that means that the producer is often obligated to sell through this distribution pipeline in order to have the wines end up on the store shelves.
Yeah.
And so I've had distributors say to us, we love the idea, Great idea with same-sex marriage, but you're not producing 100,000 cases of it, so it's going to be hard for us to make this work.
Because basically it's not worth it to them?
It's everything.
All of it, yeah.
Everything depends on how you view what a business should do, right?
Mm-hmm.
My view of a business, despite what the Supreme Court says, is that a business is simply an entity, a thing, a pry bar that lets you do other things.
Not a person.
You can use it as a pry bar to help the world. You can do it as a pry bar to help other people. You can do it as a pry bar to, line your pockets. And it's not like I don't got to stay in business and pay my bills either, so I'm not saying that. But there's Henry Ford capitalism, make sure the worker can actually afford the car.
Yeah.
And there's non-Henry Ford capitalism, and that means someone doesn't get while somebody else does.
And in California, we now have something known as a B Corp.
Yes.
Which allows companies like yours, or I think it was the people behind Patagonia that got that started, if I have
there
my history
There are actually about
correct.
14 states where B corporation status is possible. Corporations are chartered out of a particular state, so if a state allows it to take place, it's possible. And the real key difference here is, if you think about the way a traditional corporation works, the payout is in the form of cash only, right? They're dividends paid as a result of the stocks that you've purchased. With a B Corp, we're allowed to say that part of our payout is payout in the context of good works to the community. That the support of the world is equally as important as the support of the bottom line when figured in simple numerical.
And that keeps you in line legally with your fiduciary duty and all of that.
Exactly. It's saying, hey, there's another value we can put on the table here.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily something that's traditionally quantifiable. But again, I go back to that idea of Henry Ford. He said quite plainly, if your own employees cannot afford the car you're producing, you've got a problem.
Yeah. How long can that be sustainable, right?
One
last question with the minute we have left, Josh. What Napa can be a somewhat conservative valley, believe it or not. What are your fellow winemakers? What do they say in just about 10 seconds?
We've gotten full support. I've got pride flags flying around me in the town today. The North Bay is fully behind equal rights for all.
I love it. Josh Stein, Stein Family Wines, same-sex MERITAGE. I'll now pronounce it correctly.
You've been listening to
Equality Radio.
Connect with us online at equalityradio.net.
Equality Radio.
Josh, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All righty, everyone. That does it for today's show. Stick around. Monday could be the big day, I should say, from the U.S. Supreme Court. We will be here with more than 4 hours of live radio so that you can sound off. Make it a great... Oh, tomorrow's Friday.